Hello and welcome. You're watching Newsx with me, Devika Devan. Did you know that the old broken smartphone that's lying in your drawer or that dusty calculator in your attic could be a literal silver mine? Yes, just a couple of years ago, the tiny bits of silver inside our electronics were not worth the effort to extract. But as we sit here in late 2025, the game has completely changed. If you have a stash of old circuit boards or discarded solar panels, you aren't just looking at junk anymore. You're looking at an asset that has seen its value skyrocket by over 150% in a single year. In today's market, recovering silver isn't just an environmental hobby. It has become a high-stakes, high-profit business that could reshape the Indian economy. To understand why your e-waste is suddenly so valuable, we have to look at the explosive price of silver. We are currently witnessing a silver super cycle. In early 2025, silver was trading around 98,000 rupees per kilogram. Fast forward to today, we have seen prices shatter all records, peaking at an incredible 2.54 lakh per kilogram on the Newsx. Even with the occasional market dip, silver has consistently outperformed gold, the stock market, and even major tech companies, except, of course, Nvidia. It has officially shed its reputation as the poor man's gold and has become the new oil of the green energy era. So what exactly triggered this massive rally? Well, it's a perfect storm of low supply and insatiable industrial demand. What's happened is that for the past 5 years, the world has used more silver than it has mined. See, unlike gold, which mostly sits in bank vaults, silver is an industrial workhouse. It is the most electrically conductive metal on earth, making it irreplaceable for things that the world wants most right now. That's solar panels and electric vehicles. A single EV uses up to 50 grams of silver, double of what a petrol car needs, and the new generation of solar cells requires 50% more silver than older models. We are literally consuming silver faster than we can dig it out of the ground. The situation has also turned into a global scramble recently because of massive move from China. As the world's second largest producer and hub for silver refining, China announced a strict export licensing system that's going to kick off on the 1st of January 2026. This means that instead of silver flowing freely onto the global market, the Chinese government will now decide who gets it and how much. This state control approach has sent shockwaves through the industry. While Mexico remains the world's top producer, followed by Peru and China, the reality is that 70% of silver is found as a byproduct while mining for other metals like copper and zinc. So you can't just turn on a tap and get more silver. You have to mine more of everything else, which can actually take a lot of money and a lot of time. 70% of silver, like I said, is a byproduct. But this brings us to India's massive appetite. India is one of the world's largest silver consumers, but we produce very little of it domestically, less than 1,000 tons a year. Our demand, however, is north of 10,000 tons, and it's growing. Why? Because India is in the middle of a green revolution. We are aiming for massive solar capacity and a total shift to electric mobility. In the next 10 years, experts predict India's industrial silver demand will triple. We aren't just using it for jewelry anymore. We need it for the millions of solar panels that will power our homes and even the EVs that will fill up our streets. In the next 10 years, India's demand is expected to triple because of our massive push for 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. We need silver for our mobile phones, our 5G towers, and our solar farms. If we can't import it easily from China anymore, we have to find it elsewhere. And that somewhere else could potentially be our own backyard. Yes. India is currently the third largest producer of e-waste globally. The numbers for late 2025 are staggering. India is generating approximately 1.75 to 2 million metric tons of e-waste annually. Currently, only about 43% of this waste is processed through formal organized channels. The remaining 57% Nearly 1 million tons is either sitting in homes and offices or being handled by the informal sector, where precious metals are often lost. See, for every 1,000 kgs of high-grade printed circuit boards, you can recover roughly 500 to 800 grams of silver. And for context, a traditional silver mine is considered high-grade if it has just 400 to 500 grams per ton of raw rock. Now remember, I told you India produces nearly 2 million tons of e-waste. Even if 5% of India's 2 million tons of e-waste is actually these high-grade PCBs, that gives us 1 lakh tons of boards. So we are potentially sitting on a reserve of hundreds of tons of above ground silver every year. And that brings me back to my initial point of silver recycling. Why has it suddenly become such a viable business? Well, it all boils down to 4 huge factors that changed the game in 2025. Number 1 is energy savings. Mining silver from the ground is incredibly expensive and it uses a massive amount of electricity. Recycling it from e-waste uses 90% less energy. So when energy costs are high, the recycler usually always wins every time. Second, the government has stepped in with GST incentives. Earlier, the high GST on scrap pushed everyone into the informal black market. But now, new rules actually allow formal recyclers to claim tax credits, effectively making their silver 12 to 18% cheaper than the stuff coming out of a mine. Third, we also have EPR certificates, and this is a huge one. Under extended producer responsibility laws, companies like Samsung or Apple are now legally required to ensure that their products are recycled. So they actually pay certified recyclers just to take the waste. As a recycler, this means that you can get paid to take the raw material, and then you get paid once again when you sell the recovered silver. Finally, there's the green premium. Big global tech companies are desperate to prove that they are sustainable. They're actually willing to pay extra for recycled silver because it helps their carbon footprint. So if you combine the record high prices with government backing and lower energy costs, you could potentially get a business model. Urban mining isn't just a way to save the planet anymore. It's the smartest way to make money in a world where silver is becoming rarer than gold. So the next time you see a pile of old electronics, don't just see trash, see a mountain of silver just waiting to be claimed. Thank you for watching.